With less than 24 hours to the expiration of the court deadline for UTAG and the NLC to resolve their impasse, there appears to be no resolution in sight. Meanwhile, Edward is calling on the Vice Chancellor's Ghana to shut down all public universities.
Remaining on campus, having unsupervised, no academic supervision on campus for 5 weeks, spending money on a daily basis, at that economic and social cost.
If you have nothing to hide, appear in court, former Deputy Attorney General tells embattled Artisan North MP.
The criminal trial and is innocent, he will be acquitted and discharged. If it is in a civil case and he proves his case, he indeed will be declared to be the victor.
The minorities, however, accuse the government of engaging in an elaborate plot geared at unseating its Member of Parliament for Artisan North, James Gyakye Quayson. Will bring you details. Also, choke drains crawling with maggots, smelling of fecal matter. Next to this, women cooking some of the best kinky in Accra and others frying fish.
The food for public consumption. Look at the maggot just right in front of you, and you are still.
Stay for more on what our cameras captured on this week's episode of the Joy Clean Ghana campaign. Coming up later in business, rising costs of housing, water, electricity, as well as transport pushed January 2022 inflation rate up to 13.9%, following expected rise in credit.
On a month-on-month basis, from a trend perspective, we continue to see the volatility from a food and non-food perspective, and we see a close marking parity between food and non-food inflation. We did record parity for the month of December 2021.
This is Joy News Prime. We are live on DSTV channel 41, Go TV 144. This is your home of independent, fearless, credible journalism. My name is Ernest Mino. Stay tuned. Hello again, thanks for joining us. With less than 24 hours to the expiration of the court's deadline for UTAG and the NLC to resolve their impasse, there appears to be no resolution in sight. UTAG earlier declined an invitation by the NLC over this matter. A meeting with the Education Ministry and Vice Chancellor's Ghana was also inconclusive as of Tuesday. So what happens? We'll speak to the NLC shortly. But even before a decision is made, education think tank Africa Education Watch wants government to shut down public universities, citing increasing social and economic costs of keeping the students on campus. Here are details of that statement issued today by Edward. It says it has been 22 working days since members of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, embarked on an industrial strike demanding enhanced conditions of service. The strike was declared on the 10th of January 2022. Majority of students on campus are freshmen who have not even been matriculated. These freshmen have had no academic direction since they arrived in the universities to meet a university community without academic activity or supervision by their lecturers and counselors due to the strike. Their continuous stay on campus without academic activity has economic and social consequences on them and their families back home as they continue to incur expenditure they otherwise wouldn't have incurred if they were home. On the labor front, 5 weeks of industrial action has yet to achieve any significant progress in negotiating a settlement to the impasse. In view of the increasing social and economic costs of staying on campus with no academic activity, the absence of academic direction for freshmen on campus, and the apparent lack of an eminent negotiated settlement of the impasse, it will be in the best interest of students, freshmen especially, and their families for the schools to be closed down. We therefore call on Vice Chancellor's Ghana to close down all public universities until the UTAG strike is called off. The Executive Director, Kofi Asare, has been explaining further why this is the most prudent decision to make at this point. He spoke on the pulse.
I'm making our call for the closure of universities because 5 weeks ago, freshers were admitted in school. Since they arrived in school, not even have they been matriculated into the university environment. They have not gone through matriculation. They have not started lectures. They have done nothing of academic value. Yet they've been staying in school for 5 weeks, doing practically nothing. Unlike continuing students, freshmen have no experience in tertiary level education. They have no exposure to tertiary level academics. So they are relying on the commencement of academic work to be able to, obtain the necessary academic guidance. Now, given this environment, on what basis do you keep such students in school for 5 weeks doing practically nothing? Students spending money every day by living on their own when their families are home. When you have students remaining on campus, having unsupervised, no academic supervision on campus for 5 weeks, spending money on a daily basis at that economic and social cost. Do you still need a law to tell you that the students are idle, doing nothing, and so they have to come home? I don't think we need a law. In any case, for continuing students, one might say that, of course, they are already in school, so they may have assignments or projects or, some guidance. But for freshers, no. And if you look at on our campuses, majority of the students, they are freshers because they've been asked to report to school since January and have been there for 5 weeks doing nothing. That is why we are saying that in the absence of a clear, end in sight to this impasse, especially where the two groups, government and lecturers, have been virtually engaged in litigation in the first 4 weeks, the best thing to do is to let the students go home, and then whenever UTAG decides to return to teach, they should be recalled.
My colleague Gyakye Quayson joins us via Zoom with some information about the meeting between UTAG and the Education Ministry. Kweku, what have you learned so far?
Ernest, we know that a meeting between UTAG and the Education Ministry ended inconclusive from yesterday. We understand another meeting was organized today. No agreement was reached. And what we know now is that another meeting will be held tomorrow at 8 o'clock a.m. in the morning to try and reach some agreement. We also know that the court action that was instituted by NLC, which led to that 1 week window being given both parties to try and resolve their differences, expires tomorrow also. And so by 2 p.m., the case might have been called in court. And so government and UTAG have between 8 a.m. and around midday, 2 p.m. to try and iron out their issues. And so government, through the Education Ministry, is very confident that they will reach some compromise before then. But all we are getting from UTAG, our sources within, are telling us that government has so far not made a single cedi offer to them. We know that they have been demanding at least $2,084 for entry-level lecturers. So far, what our sources within UTAG tells us that UTAG has not received a single offer, not even a cedi or a dollar, from government to say, this is what we want to offer you, and so what do you think about it? What we understand is that government is planning to make an offer tomorrow, but our sources within UTAG tells us that it is not certain that they will be swayed by that. And so it is very cagey where we are now, with universities having been reopened almost 6 weeks now, and UTAG having been in strike for at least a month, with no academic activity, and government also not making any concrete offer to teachers.
Kweku, thank you very much for bringing us those details. But the Public Relations Officer at the Education Ministry, Gyakye Quayson, tells Joy News they have made progress. He insists that UTAG has softened its stance on this matter.
It looks positive, even though the meeting ended inconclusive with regards to making a finite determination on the strike matter. The parties agreed that we continue the meeting this very next Thursday morning, that is hopefully tomorrow, so that we should be able to find a lasting solution to the strike action and hopefully get our lecturers back to the classroom. So we are very hopeful that with the strides that the ministry has made, the engagements that the Ministry of Education has led, some of them official, some of them to behind the scenes, we are very, very hopeful that we should be drawing the curtains to the end of this matter.
You make mention of positives. When you say some strides have been made, what exactly are you referring to?
Yes, so it depends on, that statement was made in relation to the engagements that was made. And then, like I said, I can confirm to you that a lot of progress were made. So in this case, you had both parties being flexible. And when I say both parties, I'm referring to the government side and UTAG. Being flexible with their positions and their plans. Initially, UTAG was like, we are going to continue with the strike action. But this time around, you have some consensus building, all parties drawing near or very closer to getting a permanent and lasting solution to the strike impasse. So, we believe that we should be seeing to the end of this matter. And on that note, we feel that a lot of strides were made.
Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to Ofosu Asamoah, who is the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission. Thank you, sir, for joining us on Journey Prime. Tomorrow, you are to report back to the court. UTAG declined to meet with you, but proceeded to meet with the Education Ministry, facilitated by Vice Chancellor's Ghana. Would you say that will suffice?
Well, that's also an attempt to have the problem resolved, except that it was not in compliance with the court directive. So we took the step to invite them. Unfortunately, they declined. But in any case, the role of the Labour Commission is to facilitate the dispute resolution. That is why we were bringing the very people they are meeting together. So we were only facilitating by providing them a forum and opportunity to meet. But they chose to rather meet outside the facility we offered them. Anyway, if it is resolved and tomorrow we go to court and they are able to have a good report for the court, all the best.
So what can we expect from your side as far as reporting back to the court is concerned?
Oh, reporting back, we report it as it is. And it is common knowledge now. We wrote to them. You are aware. They responded to their letter. You are aware. And since then, nothing has changed between we and them. But one good thing is that we are not a party to the negotiation. We are only a vehicle for the dispute resolution. So if parties are able to resolve issues amongst themselves without reference to it, all the best, except that where the court has made specific order and parties do a different thing. That is the only problem I have. But for that, all we want is a dispute resolution.
Assuming that the court is not satisfied with the reports given tomorrow, would you advise, or are you open to a complete out-of-court settlement, taking the issue completely out of the court?
At the moment, the whole issue now is being satisfied or not. It's one for the court to determine. If the court is satisfied, they will give their blessings and perhaps leave it at that. If the court is not satisfied, they will make directives and give consequential orders. So the satisfaction or otherwise of it rests with the court. And whatever that follows will depend on their level of satisfaction.
Yes, but I'm asking that, are you willing to take this out of court, regardless what the court says?
We have only one thing to do. That is to facilitate the settlement of a dispute or settle the dispute. And that is what we have at all times tried to do between UTAG and their employers. So the National Labour Commission, like I said, we are only a vehicle for dispute resolution. When we talk about settlement out of court, we have nothing to gain whether it's settled out of court or this. We were only interested in, one, engaging to have the issue settled, and two, whilst negotiations are going on, the UTAG members to return to the lecture halls to do business, while the leadership or their mandated executives, accredited executives, who do the negotiation with government. We have just about 15 people at the table, with 6,000 lecturers all sitting down, and the schools, everybody. So that is what is worrying. That is what is worrying. As for negotiation and settling, yes, we are in for that. Except that while that is going on.
And just for clarity, Mr. Asamoah, did the court say that UTAG should get back to you, to the negotiation table with you, or with their employers? The
negotiation is between them and their employer. we as Labour Commission only facilitate the resolution, the meeting, the negotiation, the settlement. That is what we do. So we were not to be engaged in settling, but to providing a forum and a means to settling the issue.
Mr. Samoa, I'm grateful that you could join us. That's the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, Mr. Ofosu Asamoah, joining us on this issue of UTAG. We'll be following up and bring you details in our subsequent bulletins. Now, if you have nothing to hide, appear in court. That's the caution to the embattled Member of Parliament for Artisan North, James Gyakye Quayson. An Accra High Court today issued criminal summons against the MP after he failed to show up in court in connection to charges of forgery and perjury made against him by the state. Court correspondent Joseph Akable has the rest of the story.
Director of Public Prosecution Yvonne Atakro-Buobisa informed the court that officials had been sent to the MP's residence here in Accra and also at the constituency, Artisan North, but they have not been successful at giving the MP the court documents. She indicated that copies were posted at the residence, yet the MP had failed to show up in court once again. The court said instead of issuing the warrant of arrest as had been requested by the Director of Public Prosecution, it was rather given an order that a criminal summons be posted at the residence of the MP here in Accra. Our sources within the AG's department say should the MP fail to show up in court on the 15th of February 2022, the request for an arrest warrant to be issued will be made once again. Richard Techimensa, who is the complainant in this particular matter, says the MP must show up in court.
I'm surprised that someone who wants to be a member of parliament to enact laws for us to obey and abide by is embarked on such a wanton disregard for the laws of the land and showing such disrespect to the courts. You've been following the civil one, and he has not been coming to court. Even a case that he himself has put before the court, his own application at the Supreme Court, he was not there. And this one, we were here last week. We were told that they made attempt to serve him. They even informed his lawyer, then sent him a text message. He did not turn up. Today too, attempts were made to serve him. They went to the house and met someone at the house. The person refused to receive the sermon, and it was pasted on his wall. But today, he did not turn up. So the court has directed that he should be served through criminal summons, which will be pasted on his wall. Let's hope that next week, 15, when we come to court, he will be here.
So the case continues on February 15, 2022. For joining us from the Law Court Complex, my name is Joseph Akable.
Now, although the minority in Parliament says the charges against the MP forms part of an elaborate plot geared at unseating the MP, former Deputy Attorney General thinks otherwise. Joseph Dendok Benka says the Artisan North MP must subject himself to the judicial process if he has nothing to hide.
Let me say that the drama unfolding is a test of our legal jurisprudence's development as far as our nation is concerned. I call it drama unfolding because it is becoming one too many incidents in the way we try to manage our legal affairs in this country as far as the specific case of the Artisan North MP is concerned. I am frightened by the development because we cannot, should not, and dare not attempt to subvert justice on any day, whoever you are, because of the supremacy of our Constitution in all cases and the principle that we are all equal before the law. So if you make any effort or attempt to subvert justice, that in itself is a criminal offense that you can answer for. So the criminal summons that the Attorney General or the criminal process the Attorney General is initiating is simply an invocation in compliance with Article 88, the mandate of the Attorney General. Therefore, I think that the best thing to do in the circumstances of this matter is for the honorable member to avail himself for trial or for the civil processes so that they can come to an effective conclusion. If it is in a criminal trial and he's innocent, he'll be acquitted and discharged. If it is in a civil case and he proves his case, he indeed will be declared to be the victor in the circumstances of the matter.
You seem to be very much confident and hold the same view with the court when they say that there's a need for some criminal summons, but there are questions about the political issues surrounding this very MP, concerns about what the minority is describing as an intent by government to use the office of the Attorney General to persecute and not necessarily prosecute defaulters. What do you have to say to that?
I will give a response in law and also make a reference for you to understand what I'm talking about. First of all, the reference I want to make is that under the government of the NDC, the Boku Central MP was tried and convicted. What was that? It was initiated by the Attorney General. He was tried and convicted and sentenced to a number of years in prison. That is correct. That one was not persecution. It was justice. But because the present person is NDC, that is persecution. I mean, how can you double speak? You cannot approve it and reprove it. You see, so I would like to say that we should look at it from an objective point of view and look at the laws of the land, whether or not we are complying with the laws of the land. The fundamental question is, there are 137 NDC MPs. Why is it James Gyakye Quayson that the Attorney General is taken to court and not the other 136?
Deputy Minister for Transport Hassan Tampoli has confirmed the dismissal of the Managing Director of the Ghana Airport Company, Gyakye Quayson. According to him, Mr. Quayson has not been officially informed about his dismissal because internal processes must first be satisfied. He, however, failed to provide reasons why Mr. Quayson was dismissed.
The letter says that his appointment has been terminated. It's addressed to the board chairman.
It's addressed to the board chairman? Yes, so that is how it's supposed to be done. Because it's a company. So it's regulated under the Companies Act. So the letter is written to the board chairman, and the board chairman will now convene a board meeting at which all the necessary steps will be undertaken pursuant to the Companies Act. So it's confirmed.
But why is he being dismissed?
Have you cited a copy of his appointment letter?
No, please.
The appointment letter doesn't say why he was appointed. I don't know why it should be stated why he has been relieved of his position.
There's word around that this is because of the tussle over the facility we went to inspect today with the Parliamentary Select Committee, of which you were there. When we put the question to you there and himself, he said he was not aware.
Did you see that in the letter?
It's not in the letter, but a lot of things happen. This is government.
Yes, so the president has the prerogative to appoint, and he has the prerogative to relieve of the people of their positions. When the president is appointing, he doesn't give reasons. And by the same parity of reason, the president doesn't give reasons when he's relieving people of their positions. So this is something that has been going on in this country, not today. So nothing has changed.
Let's now listen to Mr. Gyakye Quayson, who says he is unaware his appointment as Managing Director of the Ghana Airport Company has been terminated.
I don't know what you're talking about. My appointment has not been terminated, so if you have references to that, please give it to me.
Will you be surprised if that's the case? Will you be surprised if that's the case, though?
I don't know about it. So when I get to that bridge, I'll cross it.
Now, this story could be sensitive. It could affect sensitive viewers. Now, picture this. Choke drains crawling with maggots and smelling of fecal matter. Next to this, women cooking some of the best kinky in town and others frying fish. Well, AMA officials will not allow this to continue. Michael Papaniashale has more in the following report read to you for our Joy Clean Ghana campaign.
Open it. Open your boiler. What did you put inside there?
Residents around Bukom Square in a heated argument with officers of the Environmental Health and Sanitation Unit of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly.
Do you know that we can stop you? You are cooking the food for public consumption. Look at the maggot just right in front of you, and you are still talking. What is that? If you clean this place every every day. Will the maggot be there? Does maggot take one day to come out?
They either cook to sell or have permanent structures over choked, smelling drains, crawling with maggots. Florence Kuchi, Director of Public Health at the AMA, instructs her officers to issue notices to the offenders to compel them to clean their surroundings.
So please do it right now. Whoever is coming, let the person come and start removing it right now. And this kenke is one of the best kenke in Jamestown. How?
For some of the affected residents, the notices were harsh and unnecessary. They tell Joy News those living upstream should be held responsible for the filth.
Because the thing is coming from top to down. You understand? And if you can see this area here, when night and you come here, there's a big dustbin, dust like trash in the street top. Oh, for inside the gutter. After that, then it will go straight to the down there. So please, I just want to plead the AMA for them to have a little patience for the people who that they are going to give them the charge. You understand? Because if we say we are going to summer them, charge them, some people will go free and some people will suffer.
At some places, economic activities have taken over the streets. The offenders were cautioned and asked to remove wares and also clean their drains. Sanitation Ambassador Brahima Kamoko, popularly known as Bukum Banku, who is also resident of this area, believes serving jail time will be the best way to ensure people obey the sanitation bylaws.
You give me ambassador of year, and you give me some people watching in around. They're driving the motor to watch. If somebody put the ball in the gutter, you go jail. Yeah, you face the court. When you face the court and somebody see that, you face the court. If it's somebody carrying the baller, it go baller to baller place. It go shit to shit place. But here, they no respect. If you are super, they no respect. If you are mayor, they no respect. They are no respect any president in this country. You know my flag, but I will support you. But if you want to clean people in Iran, find something to place. And my mother and my sisters selling something in my market, and the road make clearly when a car passes, it passes very well. Because here is choke. You understand me? Today you carry baller in gutter. I'll give you 1 week. Come and see over the bar.
What should be the solution to stop them from dumping their fecal matter in gutter?
You know the problem. Madam was from task. It can afford maybe baby police on task force to be around early morning, afternoon, and evening. They watch around, they go to your house. What? If you shit in your house, you face the court. That thing will stop.
At the end of the exercise, over 20 people were issued notices.
Since today's exercise is participatory, everybody took part in today's exercise, as we can see. All those people are desilting drains, people are collecting salt, people are removing their things from the roadside and all that. It was so participatory, but the issue is the people are stubborn. Due to that, we have served about 25 notices to them. And I can tell you, out of this 25 notice, we'll come back for re-inspection. Those that will not do what we ask them to do, they will face the law. And that is what we will do.
The Clean Ghana campaign team will be in the Ablekuma Sub-Metro on February 16. Michael Asales report for Joy News.
You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Mino. Still to come in business, rising cost of housing, water, electricity, as well as transport pushed January 2022 inflation rate up to 13.9%, following expected increase in the cost of credit.
On a month-on-month basis, from a trend perspective, we continue to see the volatility from a food and non-food perspective, and we see a close marking parity between food and non-food inflation. We did record parity for the month of December 2021.
Charles Aite has details of this and more after the break. Don't go away.
It's time for business. I'm Charles Aite. The rising cost of water, electricity, as well as housing, transport as well, pushed the rate of inflation for January to 13.9%. If the trend continues, we will see lending rates as well as cost of living going up. We have more in this report.
For the first time in 7 months, non-food inflation on annual basis increased more than the food inflation, with rent and transport among the major drivers of inflation. Cost of living in the Greater Accra region continued to surge, reflecting its position as a region with the highest inflation rate. Here is government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna Enim explaining to journalists what this means to the economy.
So for the first time in 7 months, we see non-food inflation surpassing food inflation by 0.4%, indicating that in the last 6 months, we see the dominance of food inflation over non-food inflation. On a month-on-month basis, from a trend perspective, we continue to see the volatility from a food and non-food perspective, and we see a close marking parity between food and non-food inflation. We did record parity for the month of December 2021. For the month of January 2022, we see an inching up of non-food inflation by 0.2%.
Inflation for imported goods was 11%, which is higher than the 10.4% recorded in December 2021. Locally produced items, on the other hand, went up by 15%, a significant increase from the 13.3% recorded in December last year.
Locally produced items continue to dominate imported items, and we are beginning to see a widening gap between locally produced items and imported items, specifically with locally produced items standing at 15.0% for the month of January 2022 and imported items 11.0% for the month of January 2022. Greater Accra region has regained its lead in overall inflation with an inflation figure of 18.4%, which again is higher than the national average of 13.9%.
Alcoholic beverages and tobacco, however, recorded a deflation during the period, whilst education registered the lowest rate of inflation.
Now, reacting to the latest inflation figures, economist and professor at the University of Ghana Finance Department, Professor Kofi Bokpin, advised governments to identify and address the drivers of the non-food items to deal with the general price increase.
A lot of things are becoming more clearer and real to us in terms of the challenges that the economy is going through and the fact that inflation is eating up. That is largely expected because of certain development in the economy, and essentially the fact that we are recording inflation practically outside the upper band of the target of the Bank of Ghana.
And so what can be done to ensure that, or to make sure that the rate comes down?
You want to look at the triggers, non-food inflation, that is eating up, and then also food inflation, and see the underlying pressures. So overall, in terms of economic management, I think there's a lot that we have to do, because once we do well, it will reflect in this year.
Now, the GMPC Foundation is providing support to more than 340 artisans drawn from across the Greater Accra region to sit for the National Vocational Training Institute proficiency exams. Now, this forms part of the 2021 edition of the Foundation's Livelihood Empowerment Program, dubbed the Skilled Artisans Project. According to the Executive Director of the GMPC Foundation, Dr. Dominic Idua, the initiative seeks to provide artisans suitability for job placement and handing them to the requisite know-how to start enterprises on their own.
Artisans who wants to learn a skill and then own a business themselves, and we take a lot of pride in that. We have done this since 2 years ago. COVID became a little bit of distraction, but we are continuing this year. So far, I think we've done 6,050 out of the 10,000 target that we had 3 years ago. And we hope that by close of the year, we'll be able to achieve our target in impacting the lives of 10,000 artisans. The process is very simple, as you can see. They've gone through the selection stage, also gone through the soft skills training, where they are taking through bookkeeping, how to even secure a loan to improve your business. We liaise with state organizations to help us in that regard, as far as GRE is concerned, some banks are concerned and all that. Today happens to be the examination day, where they are supposed to justify their inclusion. We are a little bit confident because they've gone through the right training, and we know that a lot of them are going to pass, if not 100%.
That'll be it for business. We have sports coming up. Do stay with us.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment live here on the Joy News Prime with me, Oreku Ampo. For all the story coming in is the former Newcastle and Brighton and Hove Albion manager Chris Hughton has been appointed not as the head coach of the Black Stars, but as the technical advisor to a newly constituted Black Stars technical team led by Otoado. Now, other members of the new technical team include George Boateng and Masudi Didi Dramani. Now, the 63-year-old would provide technical advice to the three-man team for next month's FIFA World Cup playoff match against Nigeria. The Executive Council of the Ghana Football Association took the decision at a meeting held earlier on Wednesday. Now, Otoado, a former Ghana player, is currently the assistant coach of German Bundesliga club Borussia Dortmund, and he boasts of about 13 years of coaching experience that dates back to 2009 when he first took up the job of an assistant coach at Hamburg. The 46-year-old has previously worked as a scout for the Black Stars in 2013 prior to the 2014 World Cup in Brazil and then the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations in Equatorial Guinea. The four-man team has been put together to take charge of the two matches against rivals Nigeria. So the man behind me, Otoado, would be the head coach when Ghana faces Nigeria in just about 5 weeks' time. He'll be doing the receiving technical advice from Chris Hughton. Let's come back to Ghana football, where new Hearts of Oak signing Suleiman Tari is eager to help the club retain their Ghana Premier League title. The Phobians, who lost by 1-0 to Great Olympics in their last league game, are 7th on the log, 10 points behind leaders and arch rivals Asante Kotoko. The former Inter and AC Milan midfielder wants to bring his experience to bear on Hearts of Oak.
Here to compete with anybody. I'm here to make sure that I do the right thing on the pitch, and I make sure that I'm ready to help my teammates, and also what I've learned outside to be able to put together, and so that we'll be a strong team. Yeah, that's it. Very humble. I want us to focus on things that is necessary in our own home. We're not going to look outside other teams. We need to know we are playing for Hearts of Oak, and Hearts of Oak is a big team that everybody would love to play. And yes, that's it.
To some boxing now, former IBF lightweight champion Richard Comey says he would not make any payment to the Ghana Boxing Authority from his purse earned in the fight against Vasily Lomachenko. The boxing governing body requested that boxers pay a percentage of their purse to the authorities to help develop the sport in Ghana. Now, that's a move that has led to a breakdown in the relationship, which saw Comey being banned indefinitely. But he insists he would not give the GBA a penny.
Why should I pay the pay? So in the first place, this new GBE came to release the ban on me just to ask for money. I've never used. I've never had a Ghanaian license since 2017. So why should I ever pay a commission to them when I've already paid in the US? I mean, what have they done for me to give them money? They can as well go and give a car or a go and then they can make money. Yeah. I never use Ghana license, and Ghana license besides it's only valid in Ghana, and I don't base here, I don't do anything, I just come for holidays, train, you know what I mean? So why would I pay? And even if I'm considering of giving money for boxing, why would I give it to this GBA? Because I don't see anything they're doing with their own money. I don't see the work they're doing. That's why I should give them my money. I ain't gonna give them my money. I'd rather give it to the boxers, but not them.
Okay.
None of them know whatever I've been through. So you can't come in because you get what you want to force me to give you what you want and I refuse. Then you're gonna say a lot of bad stuff about me. That's what they deserve. Because if they really think of the boxers, they will know how to deal with them.
Okay.
Anyone can die in the boxing. If I ever go there, one punch, would they give me anything? Would they give my family anything? No. Therefore, they shouldn't come up and be saying all this, thinking I'll be scared, I'll be that. They can go they can go and kiss whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Well, that's how we wrap up the sports segment here. I'll be back in the next hour to bring you the second part. My name is Oreko Ampofu.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, Chairman of the Christian Council of Ghana, Right Reverend Dr. Joseph Obriyeboamante, has criticized a section of Ghanaians who are in constant battle with the government over what he describes as drastic measures that needs to be taken to get the country's economy to a level where everyone can be proud of. According to him, the posturing, pushbacks, and sometimes the total rejection that greets some of the drastic policy proposals are among the reasons why the country has not made huge economic progress. Addressing participants of this year's Ghana Youth Congress at Komuafete in the Central Region Tuesday, Reverend Mante questioned the motive of those who constantly fight off attempts by the government to introduce policies that will in the long run make life better for the general population.
Well, I do remember when I was about to return from the US to Ghana, several of my friends, who are Ghanaians, what are you going to do? You are going to die. Oh, I believe all those of you who went, they told you the same thing from Canada and other places. We are going to die. Here am I. Some of them have died in abroad and I'm still alive. And I'm doing far better than most of them too. So I realized that there is a psychological slavery. I don't know. We can compare ourselves to Singapore, for example. And Singapore has developed to the point that now if you are talking about the top 10 countries with the highest HDIs, Singapore is part of them. If Singapore is part of them, we can get there. Because yes, around 1957, Singapore and Ghana were perhaps running the same GDP type of thing. But then they had to take drastic measures to get there. And when we want to take drastic measures, we will see the same people, you say, who will do it for us? And I know that you are the ones that will do it. And I pray to God that at this Congress, you people, I trust you and I believe you, that you will be the Ghanaians who will rise and make Ghana a better place. May God instill in all of us, and particularly in our young people, the grace and the strength from heaven to lift Ghana up. As you sit and converse, as you sit and talk together, as you sit and chat with one another, may God give you wisdom, and when God has given you the wisdom, give you the empowerment that when you grow up to be like us, Ghana would have been better than Singapore, but you can make it.
And so that's the Reverend Dr. Mantida speaking at the Congress in Gomwa Fete today. But the Health Minister, Gyakye Quayson, has justified his continuous absence from the Public Accounts Committee's hearing. The committee, which began sitting earlier this week, is dealing with the Auditor General's report on the issues in the health sector. On Tuesday, the committee chairman, James Kluchabeji, took the minister on, accusing him of disrespecting the committee by failing to appear before it despite several invitations. He warned the conduct of the health minister will be tabled before the House for sanctions.
Let me be very honest with you. I think you were there yesterday. That's why you asked this question. Just a little bit of education. Public Accounts Committee sits to consider Auditor General's reports, period. That is its function in Parliament. So if the Auditor General has not submitted any report on COVID expenditures, I can't go to Public Accounts Committee and say that I'm going to brief you on COVID expenditures until I'm invited. From time to time when COVID came, I was going to Parliament, the plenary, to brief my colleagues on how far we were fighting the battle. Okay? So at the appropriate time, now that Auditor General started doing auditing, especially within the World Bank group, when adverse reports come, or reports come and Public Accounts Committee call us, we will go there and explain matters to them. So take it that Public Accounts Committee works on Auditor General's reports, unless, of course, something different happens and the Speaker refers some matter to them. You can't just go. All I do voluntarily is to brief my colleagues in the plenary from time to time.
So that's Mr. Ajiman Menu explaining why he could not attend the invitation of the Public Accounts Committee. Now, Parliament is pushing for a national conversation on how to deal with the increasing road accidents, which is claiming a lot of lives. This comes on the back of a statement by the Majority Chief Whip, Anodompre, expressing worry over 5 persons who perished in a road accident at Nsawam Mobile Junction in the eastern region. The Nsawam MP, who is unhappy with the tragic situation, charged the National Road Safety Authority to devise mechanisms in addressing the recurrence of such accidents across the country.
A total of 5 people died. 4 died on the spot. 4 died on the spot. The 5th victim passed on shortly. Today, though, with a heavy heart, I consider myself fortunate to articulate in this house the cries of our people, for they are not just cries of pain due to their loss, but also acute calls for increased road safety and calls for greater expectation from road users to exercise caution in the use of roads. I earnestly call on the authorities, i.e. the Bureau of Roads and Highways, the National Road Safety Commission, and the Ghana Highway Authority, particularly responsible for the provision of traffic lights on our roads, to hasten their efforts to assess and instill the important road infrastructure for safe usage of our roads in our town, especially outside the capital. I recall writing to the relevant authorities last year for an assessment and installation of traffic lights where needed. We cannot continue to wait for such tragedies to take place before we are seen doing the needful. Speaker, to be clear, as has been pointed out by many inhabitants of Nsawam, an assessment of the situation at the Nsawam Total Filling Station intersection on the Nsawam-Kumasi stretch and the intersection of the Mobile Junction at Nsawam Township must be made for the provision of traffic lights. Subsequently, stricter measures to ensure safety should be employed to disallow trailer trucks from plying these routes.
Ranking member on the Roads and Transport Committee, Kwame Gavins Adbuja, called on the National Road Safety Authority to intensify the road safety campaign. He recalled a recent experience.
Vehicles don't kill by themselves. People in charge of vehicles and we, the pedestrians, actually contribute to accidents. We can do better, Mr. Speaker. That is why you, as a member of the Roads and Transport Committee in this House, change the National Road Safety to an authority and give them powers to be able to go to establish themselves in every district assembly, recruit people to carry out in collaboration with the assemblies continuous education on road safety. But since we passed that act, Mr. Speaker, even the regulations to operationalize the National Road Safety Authority has not yet been done. I encourage the relevant authorities, the National Road Safety Authority, to quickly establish in every district, including my friend's district, so that they can improve on the ability to educate the public. Not only education, because they can enforce some of the road regulations, not the NTTD. They are supposed to enforce some of the road regulations. As for the construction of the road, I would say that there was a reason we did the bypass. So I don't understand why heavy trucks, unless that truck was taking the item directly into that community. If you were to be on the way to Kumasi and other things, I see no reason why that truck should be using a town road instead of using the bypass. And I think that if we all adhere to the road traffic regulations, we might be able to significantly reduce the carnage on our roads and keep a lot of our compatriots alive and productive.
The First Deputy Speaker, Joseph Osei-Wusu, blamed drivers for causing road accidents. He also raised concerns about how markets spring up by the major highways.
All this discussion, we fail to place the emphasis on where the real challenge is. Our refusal to respect every rule that matters on the road. Of course, we can always blame somebody else. Or the police is not enforcing the law. Or the driver is drunk. But we must admit also that permitting markets on all the roads, whether it's a highway, whether it's an urban road, is a major risk factor. Every location where there's a speed hump, a market develops there. Indeed, to the extent that when the minister stopped the road tolls, some people said their market had been taken, so they were going to demonstrate. I think that if we choose to permit markets by the roadside, we should build embankments such that in the event of a careless driver going off the road or even a brake failure, the embankments will hold the vehicle from crossing over to where the markets are. I recall that when the Accra-Kumasi Road was being rebuilt, the Konongo-Ejuso part, it was part of the design that we know that the women sell plantain and other things here. So you create the embankment such that people can stop here and then they'll be behind the embankment. If we intend that we should continue selling by the roadside, let's build the protections into the road. But otherwise, let's have the courage to move the traders from off the road. Otherwise, we will continue to talk, we will continue to lament, but these challenges will be with us for a long time.
The chiefs and people of Breman Jamra are hailing the multimedia group for blazing the trail in impactful journalism. This comes as the group mobilizes public support to help them build a safer school block for the community. Jasihene Nanakwesi Eni III, while urging multimedia to keep up the good work, also appealed for more public support to complete the work on schedule. This morning, the following report.
The Multimedia Group's classroom project is tailored towards promoting philanthropy for development at the community level without looking up to the central government or donor support. The construction of a 3-unit classroom block at Brema Jamra is one of the many development projects the community needs. The initiative has since won the hearts of the traditional leaders.
And let me take this opportunity to thank multimedia. It's not about the yesterday journalism that we all know. This one is journalism about the challenges people are facing in their communities. And it's a plus for multimedia. My prayer is that when this project is done, you will not just move to, is it Tolon? You told us that you are doing one in Tolon. You do that one and go to other communities as well.
Unlike before, work on site has slowed down a bit in the last couple of days due to dwindling community participation. The traditional authorities are not too happy and have been calling for additional support.
Today's communal labor is not like yesterday. Hitherto, the community was a very small area, mechanical solidarity community. So immediately there's a gong bita. Everybody comes on board to do the work. They will come to the work from 6 a.m., 11 a.m., then they go. The diminishing return sets in. And so from 11 upwards, what happens? We engage some technical people, then the community pays them. So this is our challenge. We need, we will continue to ask humbly so as to get the needed support to complete the project on time.
There has been a long time perception of people, particularly Ghanaians, that government should provide everything. So in the meantime, what we've been doing, we've been engaging them, we've been talking to them to sort of work on their psyche that these times have changed and the government cannot do everything. So that is the solution that we are using to solve this challenge. But so whilst we are speaking to them, we're talking to them, if like Nana said, if the people who are helping us, if they can donate some more, just something small to motivate them. We are looking at the time that the project should end. Okay, that's where the issue is.
Despite the challenge, some of the community members have been expressing their commitment to seeing the project through completion.
It's all about leadership, so I see it as possible. We'll be able to finish the project within the 10 days. We'll have to meet our people again and talk to them.
My friends,
Edmanded a man yes, so say, yeah. Sanya Moboy no, I say, so, yeah, boy, me, as a school, no, who be see what ma, bones are before people, baby. I school down here, into my minkum, Naminko Siade.
The classroom project is brought to you kind courtesy the Star Ghana Foundation with funding from the Dutch Foreign Affairs Ministry. It is supported by the Israeli Embassy, Forestry Commission, the Planned City Extension Project, DBS Roofing Sheets, and you, our cherished audiences. The classroom project, promoting social justice through philanthropy.
And you can send your donations to MTN Momo number 05930 38832 to support the classroom project. Now, the traders at the KGTR market in Kumasi have rescinded a decision to pay for the cost of separate meters at the facility. The traders, in their quest to assess separate meters, decided to pay 850 cedis each for the meters and installation following agreements with management of the market, ECG and Gamma Power Distribution Limited. But the traders are unhappy with the abrogation of the agreement. That's more in the following report.
The KGTR traders are indebted to the electricity company for non-payment of bills in the past 9 months. The traders say management decision to cancel an initial arrangement and reopen a competitive bidding process in the installation of meters raises concerns. According to them, the ECG recommended the competencies of Gamma Power for the project, but the KMA cancelled the agreement. Nana Prempe is chairman of the Federation of Kumasi Traders.
It's a board on about basic and I say in process na for flow. It's a friend almost a tender. I'm different companies they bid ABBA.
We have worked on this meter issue for more than a year, but KCML board say they have terminated the agreement and have reopened a competitive bidding process. The board requested for a proof of competency which ECG provided. However, we have no idea as to why they didn't sign the contract.
World Bank project bi kra 2019 Gamma for no ene ye. Ya na mo ntu ana ye tu dada nyina na. These same members of the board no omo an na wo ho. But board ni nyansa ni mu no yenim de nti a sansa kiraye na ba.
Last year, managers of Kumasi City Markets Limited told Adom News all documentation for the meter installation had been completed, awaiting the approval of the board to sign the contract. The traders are not happy the initial contract fell through. Operations manager for the Gyakye Traders Association, Gyakye Quayson, says the electricity bills will be paid only when the metering issues are resolved.
Na me kan su say meter no so mo dey ba first day me editum say yen ye betu aka na me nti bi o ba bia da say me sisters na me di bi ma obi aba be han ya say ni pa na di meter bo.
Until they get us the meters, we won't pay the light bills. Initially, we decided to pay for the meter installation, but since they have decided to start a new agreement, they should prepare to pay for the cost.
The proper maintenance of the facility is also a concern to the traders. Organizer of the combined Gyakye Traders Association, Patricia Echampon, says the market is fast deteriorating with no sign of sense of urgency for repairs.
And Kasabi, Abrofune Beye Jano, and my Yano. I was said, Omunsi Yemuno, I was a Sibia,
No renovation or maintenance works have been done here for years. Sometimes the upper floors get flooded.
Board of directors.
Meanwhile, management of the facility says they are financially handicapped for the maintenance.
Let's do some other stories now. The executive director of the Alliance of Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, is currently being detained at the Teshi District Police Command. He's reportedly being held in connection with his publication that members of the president's family traveled with the presidential jet to the UK for shopping. The complaint against him was lodged by the Ghana Armed Forces and is expected to be arraigned on Thursday, 10 February at the Kaneshie District Court. Mensah Thompson reported himself to the police after the complaint lodged against him was brought to his attention. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to his lawyer, Kojoga Adawudu. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here on Joy News Prime. So we understand he is in custody. What charges has been leveled against him?
It's a pleasure being on this network. He's been charged for publication of false news under the section 207 and section 208 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act, Act 29.
Now, this was a complaint was lodged and he reported himself to the police. Do you find the process of him being held in custody worrying or wrongful?
I would say that I would say there's some bad faith somewhere, in that the police invited him. That was in mid of January or getting to the end of January. We spoke from the headquarters, we spoke with the police that he was writing an exam. We negotiated with the police. The police agreed that at the end of the week, that is first week in February, we can come. So this morning, yesterday, I called the police that he had finished his exam, will be coming today in the afternoon. The police agreed with us. We went this afternoon. Only while they took our statement, caution statement, and charge statement, then we were told that the police had earlier on gone to court for a warrant arrest. We've not been invited, we've not resisted any arrest, and that's what they went. So because it is the warrant of arrest, will have to be detained and be put before the magistrate court tomorrow.
And so he's going to sleep, in the custody of the police. He's going to be there overnight. That is your worry?
Oh, it's a process. If it is the arrest warrant or bench warrant that has been issued, it is the court that has issued it that can rescind it. So it is either when you are arrested, you are put before the court immediately, and the excuse they gave us was that court was not in session. We went there around 12, 1 o'clock, only left the place around 5:36. So the court was not in session, and invariably, there was no way they were going to leave us unless tomorrow that will appear before the court.
Did he report to the police station with you? Did you accompany him to the police station?
Yes, I actually called the police that we were coming from yesterday and this morning. So we went together with few of his friends. We went together to the police, and I can tell you that at the State District Command, I would tell you that in my almost 2 years, 2 decades of practice, they had been professional. The CID, the District Command, everything, they were professional. It's only they told us that they had a warrant arrest from their superiors, and their superiors, because of that, their hands are tied, and so that's all. I think that I would commend them for being professional.
And so he will be arraigned tomorrow. I guess you'll be pleading. What are you pleading to the charges?
For me, we would go, let them put the facts before the court. What I know is that he had a source which published that the first family had traveled with the presidential jet. When he realized that his source had misled him, or it was a blunder, he came back to apologize that he's sorry, and he's been responsible to say sorry. If somebody is not responsible, he will not say sorry, I got my story wrong. But he came back, apologized, and said he got the story wrong. So, if I have apologized, does that mean that constitutes criminal charges, or is an offense, or is a crime? We would go tomorrow, listen to the facts, the charges, and we will put before the judge, persuade the judge that we should be granted bail. And once we are granted bail, I'm sure the prosecution will come and prove their case beyond reasonable doubt that really there was a crime committed by saying that on its Facebook.
Thank you very much. That's Victor Kojoga Daodu, his lawyer for Mensa Thompson, who is the executive director of ASEPA. Several agencies under the Ministry of Justice and the Attorney General's Department has over the years struggled with the necessary logistics to carry out their mandates. So many of them were so under-resourced, justice delivery was hampered, according to the Attorney General. Now, the Attorney General, Godfrey Boadame, presented 91 vehicles to enable them carry out their duties effectively.
When something happens, you want to know all about it immediately. Here at Joy News, we don't just bring you the breaking stories. We go beyond them to bring you the intricate issues in those developing stories. We are relentless in our probe, detailed in our search, and our commitment to be your most credible news source is one that you can trust, because news is all about you. Joy News, credible, independent, and fearless.
Today's presentation of 91 vehicles follows a special appeal I made to Cabinet in June last year. the consequence of which is escalated the President's land by Buffalo. In all sincerity, to say that this fleet of vehicles will make an impact on the work of the Office of Attorney General and Minister of Justice will be an understatement. I just concluded working visits to the head offices of various agencies under the Minister of Justice to ascertain at first hand the fiscal conditions under which they operate. These visits were revealing as the hugely undesirable working conditions of some agencies and the lack of basic tools for service rendition came to the fore. For instance, the Legal Aid Commission, that the institution of state playing the global role of providing legal service for the indigent and vulnerable. The Law Reform Commission presently has only one vehicle, a pickup vehicle which is acquired in 1996. Today it will receive two, one pickup and one saloon car. The corporate office has 5 vehicles, the last of which they bought in 2008. Today they receive 2 more. The Economic and Organized Crimes Office, YOCO, will add 13 vehicles more to their fleet. Every regional office and other relevant agencies under the ministry will have their fair share of the supply of vehicles. Indeed, this delivery constitutes the biggest supply of vehicles, as I'm told, at a single time in the history of the ministry. I've said before that the well-oiled Attorney General Department, the Office of Attorney General is the biggest signpost for improved conditions and practice of law. The industry of state attorneys must be promptly complemented with the supply of resources needed to assist in the discharge of their functions. It is my hope that today will mark the beginning of the realization of my quest to set up a modern public legal service foundation, fully equipped to live up to its onerous constitutional and statutory duties to the Republic of Ghana.
A new study conducted by CDD Ghana has found that the passage of the controversial Proper Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill could spell grimmer outlook for Ghana. The group says Ghana could lose up to 6% of its annual budget funding. On PM Express tonight, we are interrogating the economic cost and the Western donor dilemma. Make a date with that at 9 p.m. here on the Joy News channel. And of course, we'll be having on the program tonight Bernard Anaba, who is with the policy, who is a policy analyst, Sam George, the Member of Parliament and lead advocate for the bill, Moses Famweni, the Executive Secretary of the National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, and Dr. Theo Champon, who will bring us the economic analysis. He is an economist and a political risk analyst. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. When we return, we have more business stories for you.
In business, the contractor working on the about 97-kilometer Tema in Pakadan railway line has promised that the project will be substantially completed by the end of March this year. According to the Executive Director of Operations, Akhil Gupta, it will take additional 3 months after substantial completion to get all finishing touches done. He disclosed this after touring the project site.
With 92% of work already done, Afcons Infrastructure Limited is confident the project will be completed substantially by 31st March and full completion by June. Once completed, it will be possible to transport goods from Tema Port to Mpakadan to be ferried on the Volta Lake to the northern part of the country. The project forms part of Ghana's plans to connect its northern neighbor, Burkina Faso, by rail to boost the economy of the South region. Executive Director, Operations at Afcons Infrastructure Limited, Akhil Gupta, is happy the project is nearing completion despite all the challenges faced.
We have achieved progress about 92% as on date. Most of the activities have been completed. And we are very confident that the project will be completed substantially by 31st March. Some of the major activities that are nearing completion and need to be done by 31st March are completion of the Volta Bridge. Volta Bridge is a landmark bridge as part of this project, particularly because of the very typical and challenging geological conditions that we have encountered here. All the major piles have been completed on the project, The superstructure work has started, and our team is very confident we will be able to complete the bridge in all respects by 31st March.
Akhil Gupta is describing the Volta Rail Bridge as Sinchi as landmark.
This bridge can boast of having executed the deepest raker piles anywhere in the world. 1.6 meter diameter and 76 meter long. They are the deepest raker piles done anywhere. This was a challenge because of the very difficult soil conditions. The depth of water is about 25 meter at the location of the bridge, and apart from that, there is a siltation over a very long period of time. Another 25 to 30 meter of siltation has taken place. So we need to penetrate 25 meter of water depth, about 25 to 30 meter silt, and then go into the rock. So looking at the difficult conditions on the ground, the designers decided to go in for the raker piles.
According to AFCONS, the road bridge being constructed over the Volta Lake will soon get its recognition in world records.
Now, the executive officer of the Zem Petroleum says full price could stay within the 6-cedi band if illegalities in the petroleum downstream sector are addressed. According to William Terrier, the National Petroleum Authority must do better in sanitizing the sector to keep prices down. He tells Joy Business that about 25% of downstream firms are not operating on a level playing field.
The Vice President in April last year asked the MPA to completely outlaw it. It's still happening today. Predominantly, people doing third-party supplies are doing it because they're not going to be paying the taxes on the fuel. Now, remember, about 40% of the price that you see at the retail outlet is government taxes. So if you have a competitor who is not paying taxes on fuel, they can discount their price significantly because they've got no intention of paying the 40% taxes on it or a bulk part of it. So if I drop, currently our prices are 7 cedis, 18 pesos. The volumes that I expect to be doing at that price is not what is going to materialize because somebody is selling lower. So if the level playing field, if there was a level playing field and everybody was playing by the rules, I'll probably sell significantly more at that price. And I could possibly look at a price below 7 cedis and still make the same amount of money.
Now, EcoBank Ghana has announced winners of the first draw of its double salary promotion. The promotion meant to create a rapport between the bank and its customers, so about 80 lucky clients earning a place in the first draw. Beverly Brown has more in this report.
The ceremony, which was held at the bank's head office in Accra to reveal the winners, saw lucky customers across the country earning recognition from the bank. Edward Boche, Executive Director in charge of consumer banking, explained to Joy Business what influenced the decision of EcoBank Ghana to roll out the initiative of doubling the salary of its customers.
One of the reasons why we are doing this is also to reward our customers. I mean, these are customers that have been with us for all of this while, and also to attract new clients. So really the focus of this is to say thank you to our clients for having banked with us for all of these years. And I think it is only fair that we reward them, or we do find ways to be able to reward them as we go along.
Nanaya, consumer head of marketing, detailed the benefits the double salary promotion could bring to customers.
So there's a free life insurance with this particular account. You get to enjoy a free EcoBank debit card. We do not require that you maintain a minimum balance, but we'll be happy if you always have good money in the account. We also get to introduce you to our Save As You Spend product, which allows you to put some money aside even as you spend the money you have. There's no monthly card fees, and then you also get to enjoy our world-class internet and mobile banking services.
The National Lottery Authority, regulators of the promotion, assured consumers that everyone stands a fair chance of being selected for the final draw.
Whatever or whoever is going to come out as a winner, I can confidently tell you that it has been done free and fair, no bias. We're going to use a random number generator system, whereby we are not going to influence it. No individual will be asked to come and handpick a relative or a friend.
The next draw of the double salary promotion will be held in March, and you stand a chance of being part of the next lucky customers if you bank with EcoBank.
Well, that'll be all for business. We have sports coming up. By the meantime, we'll leave you with international business news. Just stay with us.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the second part of the sports segment here on the Joy News Prime with me, Oreku Ampofo. The Ghana Football Association says the decision to host Nigeria at the Cape Coast Stadium in the impending World Cup playoffs is irreversible. Now, this comment came on the back of the statement released by the National Sports Authority asking the Football Association to move the clash to other venues. Haruna Mubarak of the Joy Sports team has the rest of the story.
The Cape Coast Stadium predominantly has been the venue where Ghana welcomed her opponents in recent times. A turf the Black Stars are yet to lose on in any competitive match since 2019 when they faced South Africa in the 2021 AFCON qualifiers as Thomas Partey and Mohamed Kudus powered the team to victory. It is the wish of the GFA and Ghanaians that the flawless record continues, and so the edifice was submitted to CAF as the venue for the intriguing clash against Nigeria for a spot at the World Cup in November. However, last month, the National Sports Authority, in a letter addressed to the Ministry of Youth and Sports, announced its intention to close down the Cape Coast Stadium for the 65th Independence Day celebrations on March 6 and suggested the Accra Sports Stadium and Baba Yara Sports Stadium as possible alternatives for the double-header against the Super Eagles. But the GFA remained firm on their choice of venue.
In Cape Coast, we'll play in Cape Coast. We have already communicated to CAF. There are regulations that govern football. You need to follow those regulations judiciously. 90 days to every game, you need to confirm your venue. Unfortunately, at the time, CAF wanted us to confirm the venue. Government had not informed us that they would use the Cape Coast Stadium for the 6th March independence celebration. So Kumasi never came up because at that time we did not even, submit Kumasi during the main World Cup qualifiers. So if it is that government had engaged us at the time, or the NSA had engaged us at the time, we could have communicated to CAF to then send people to come and inspect the Kumasi Sports Stadium. Okay. Nigeria decided not to play at Lagos as they did during the qualifiers. So they communicated to CAF that they are moving their venue from Lagos to Abuja. Okay. It was a Ghanaian who went for the inspection, Emmanuel Dasuberi, and sent his report to CAF, and he's been duly approved. I'm sure if we had done that in November, all this wouldn't have come up. But once we have communicated to CAF that we are playing at Cape Coast, it is non-negotiable. You cannot change.
Have they communicated that they've accepted it? Has CAF communicated?
Cape Coast hosted our AFCON qualifiers and World Cup qualifiers. So yes, it's an approved venue.
Okay.
The controversial 1-0 triumph over South Africa in the World Cup qualifiers was the last outing of the Black Stars in the country after the disappointing 2021 AFCON campaign in Cameroon. With just a point to show, the team returns home on March 24 for the clash against Nigeria before flying to Abuja for the second leg on March 27. The winner of the clash books a place at the global tournament this year.
Well, the Ghana Boxing Federation is unhappy about the decision of the Ghana Olympic Committee to give just 9 slots to the national amateur boxing team, which will be competing at this year's Commonwealth Games in the United Kingdom. Speaking on Sports Today, First Vice President GBF Dauda Fuseinu believes that the GOC's decision would not in your benefit to amateur boxing and its development in the country.
When it comes to the recruitment, I believe when it comes to these Commonwealth things, we should be able to, we should be given the opportunity to recruit all our weight classes to the tournament. But it is so sad that the government or the GOC said they are only giving us 9 slots. That is 7 for men, 2 for women, which is so sad because we don't need any qualification for the Commonwealth Games. It is the Olympics that we need qualification. So in that case, if you are saying that, well, when it gets to the Olympics, it depends on the number of boxers you are going to qualify for the Olympics Games. That I agree. But then we don't have any qualification range for the Commonwealth Games. So why would you say you are giving us 9 slots? That is 7 boxers, 7 male boxers, 2 female boxers. Who knows? Those that we will be leaving behind, they might be winning something for Ghana. So I believe if we are given all the weight classes, we recruit all the weight classes, send them to the Commonwealth, I believe we're going to, achieve a lot of medals, for Mother Ghana. So that is an issue which needs to be tackled.
Well, that's how we wrap up the sports segment. Here you can get some more sports stories on myjoyonline.com/sports. Or follow us on social media on Twitter @JoySportsGH. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
And that's our show for tonight on Joy News Prime. We have more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com. We have the story about the Ghana Airport Company MD being sacked. You can read more on that. There's also the Ghana card, also now being able, you can use that as an e-passport for 44,000 airports across the country. Of course, the big story there, my appointment has not been terminated. That reaction of the MD of the Ghana Airport Company. There's also some stories from Parliament. Majority Leader gets e-levy cake to mark 65th birthday. That has been trending on social media. You want to read that, plus Gyakye Quayson's issues in court today. You want to stay for PM Express with Evans Mensah because we're having that controversial conversation about the consequences of passing the anti-gay bill on our economy or financing our development. Stay with us.